of ladies residing in Abu Dhabi. On behalf of Abu Dhabi Kela Vanta Association, I have the great pleasure to welcome you all to this career talk. Job is a necessity for every working class family. Now it is getting difficult to find a job here, and many of those are losing jobs, and which in turn dent your self-esteem, and if you are not smart about your next steps, it can derail your career as well. Today, we are honored to host Mr. Rishad Alavi, our guest of the day, to talk about new age job hunting in this digital era. Mr. Rishad has been one of the pioneers bringing in digital transformation to organizations he worked with. He has got years of experience in digital media marketing. He also works in strategic planning and decision support using analytics. During his career, Rishad has helped build artificial intelligence-driven application tracking system, working closely with recruiters and hiring managers from varied industries. And today, he will be sharing with us his expert opinion and advices on winning formula in job hunting, weaved together from his digital media marketing, analytics and recruitment experience. So, may I ask you all to give your full attention to Mr. Rishad Alavi and help me in welcoming him to the stage. Welcome, Rishad.
Thank you, Aqua, and thank you for all gathered here. 2 years back, it's like somewhere in the December 2015, I was invited to give a talk similar to the one which we are having here in Chennai. Okay, so back then, like maybe you guys are reading it now in the news, like December or this November period is rainy season, and often Chennai is a city which gets flooded during this time, right? And fortunately or unfortunately, I was caught up in that. Okay, so at this time, I was in the center of the city, so basically I was not that much affected with this flood, but areas like Gindi, Tamparam, these were too flooded that they were not able to move out of their apartment, they were not able to find ration like food, water. These necessities were getting a bit of difficulty for them. So after my talk, I had one day to spend in Chennai and then I was moving back. What I noticed when I went down is like huge queues. Like, of course, food is a necessity. There is a huge queue of people standing to get or buy ration. There is huge queue to get water. Water was one of the rare commodity at that, though the entire street is flooded with water. You need potable water, drinking water. Now, another queue which I saw during that time is wherever, be it hotels, restaurants, there are queue of people with their kids, youngsters, old people standing to charge their devices. Food, we can understand that's a necessity. Water, another necessity. Adding to this necessity is your digital devices, mobile, laptop, power banks. Now why? The world is moving into the digital era. Like most of you which you arrived here, if you didn't know the place, you might have taken the help of Google Maps. And many of you came to know about the event through Facebook. Apart from that, digital is invading our life. And the way we lead our life has transformed quite a bit in last 5 years or in a decade. So when digital is coming towards us, what are we doing? How are we transforming? Right? So that's the crux of what we will be talking about today, like how your career or job hunting or your career building will change as digital takes further step into your life, or even artificial intelligence and robotics are invading into the corporate space. Okay? Now, with this advent of digital, there's huge amount of data being generated. And one of the estimate is like 2.5 quintillion bytes. Now, quintillion is not a measure or term which we use every day in our life. So just to get in perspective, that's quintillion. 2, 5 followed by 17 zeros. Quintillion bytes of data generated every day. Okay? Now, to visualize this, that's around 57.5 billion 32 GB pen drives. Right? You know, 132 GB pen drive, you have to put 57.5 billions of that, out of which your resume might sit around 0.003% of one of that 32 GB. Now, with this huge amount of data be generating, and that is the presence of your CV, imagine how a recruiter or company will find you, right? That's a problem. If it in the all times, okay, you post a job, you get 5, 10, 15 or maybe 50 resumes, you have to shortlist one among that, you choose. Life was easy. You take your resume, move around, especially in the Middle East, you move around, you drop your CVs here and there. The more you drop, the more the chances of getting a job. Now things are democratic. Me sitting in India can apply, someone sitting in US can apply. So the amount of data or accessibility has changed. Digital media transformed that. Now it's time for us to transform. So what you do when you see a job? You see a job opening, okay, we are no longer dropping CVs into boxes. We are applying it online. When you apply, now what? You wait, right? You wait for a response, and as often as it happens, you don't get a response. So you might send a follow-up mail, might be, might not be, and you further look for another job opportunities. You keep your eyes open, you search, you again apply, you wait. The thing is this going to work? Most of us know, like, we keep on applying for jobs and we seldom receive any job interviews. Why? Because it's like that guy. If you take a pile of your CVs, stand on the top of a skyscraper and put it down the street expecting someone important to find it. It doesn't happen that way. Often what happens is, like, your CV during the recruitment selection process either is filtered out by the ATS, application tracking system. You might have encountered into your life, but you might not have identified it. But there is something called as application tracking system. Then comes the recruiters, hiring managers, and most often than not, our application get weeded out from that. So if you have to beat this system, you have to first know this system, right? So today's topic, how we will discuss is, like, first we'll understand what a recruitment selection process is, at least how it happens in the current era. Then of course the basics, like how to write a CV, cover letter, attending interviews. Most of you are pretty much aware of these things, like you have to give a firm handshake, you have to keep eye contact. These are things which we usually read about or hear about. Now, when I talk about digital media driven or digital future of job hunting, what I mean is a bit further from that. So it's a bit advanced. Now what I talk about is branding and personal branding. Personal branding or branding is a premium service usually being taken by politicians, celebrities, or CXO level employees. So it's not that easy to do it, definitely. But there are ways where even a job seeker can do that, right? You don't have to get into the entire gamut of personal branding. There are certain aspects which you can do which will benefit you. A brief introduction about myself. Currently I work in digital support and corporate strategy. I work in Etisalat as of now. And wherever I have worked, I have around 7 years of experience I have worked. The primary focus has been digital transformation. I have pioneered in transforming many companies into, when I say digital, it's not only digital media, it's like bringing your offline or brick and mortar works into the online aspect. Then data analytics is my passion, digital media marketing, financial planning and analytics, and of course recruitment and selection. It's not part of my job, but more often than not I get to do that. I don't know why, but people invite me to do that. So though it's not my core activity, I've been doing that. Then apart from that, I love public speaking. That's why I'm here. And I used to deliver guest lectures in business schools. I used to give corporate training. And as far as recruitment and selection is concerned, I have done many of college campus interviews, many of corporate interviews and recruitment. And apart from that, there was one company which I worked with which developed an artificial intelligence driven application tracking system. Right. So application tracking system is something which automates your hiring and recruitment process. Now when you put artificial intelligence into that, it becomes one step ahead. So I was marketing manager for this product, and I get to work closely with a gamut of recruiters and recruiters and HR personnel from the industry. So today I'm going to share with you these experiences. Okay, so let's get into the first part, recruitment. Now when we see recruitment, we often say that finding a job or building a career. Are these synonyms? Can we use these words interchangeably, or are they different? Different? Okay. So let's see in what aspect these are different. like just setting the ground before we get into the details. Job is something which is short term, like I get a job as a receptionist or a admin. I do this for a couple of years, 1 year, 2 year. I find a new, somewhere else I get a certain 5 or 10% of hike. I go to a different place, again be a receptionist or a admin. Then I might move to some place else and I become a salesperson all of a sudden. Now these are short term things, like I do a job, that's it. You are not building a career. Career is something which is long term. And when you do career, your objective is to gain experience in your particular field. Whereas if you are doing job, you have to earn money. That's it, you have to sustain your life. So when you just focus on earning money and sustaining your life, you don't get a career growth when you're doing a job. But as career is concerned, you invest yourself to gain experience. Now when you gain experience, you grow. So there is a growth ladder associated with career. So the people who get to be managers, senior manager, directors, they build a career. They are not switching between jobs. Now to define job, it's like, okay, you did a degree in arts and science or performing arts, then you go become a engineer, technician or civil worker. You're not at all doing a job which is relevant to your education. Afterwards you go sit in a bank, you write a PhD test, then you go and sit in a bank, maybe then you go take some interviews and become a salesperson. So your different experience or the job which you build and your education, these things necessarily don't connect. That's when you focus on a job. When you focus on career, if you did a course to be an artist, you become an artist, you grow as an artist. It's always everything is related to be an artist, right? And jobs, a particular job is safe. That is, the only risk is the company gets shut down and you don't get a job, right? Whereas in career, you have to take calculated risk. Maybe I get an opportunity to work for quite an amount and a big company, but if to build a career, you might take a calculated risk. No, I'm going to work in a startup. In a startup, there is a possibility of gaining more experience. I'll get more exposure. I get to do senior level things rather than routine things. So there is a risk. It might not get succeeded, and if I go and say that, okay, I'm 1 year experienced and I'm a manager, people will not accept that. Right? But I did a lot of things to be a manager in a startup. So you gain experience, but there is a certain amount of calculated risk. Whereas job, okay, you go, you do your regular job, you meet your KPIs, you get your salary, good and happy. Right? Now, being said that, let's get into the recruitment and selection process. Recruitment starts with identifying your vacancy or identifying a gap. This happens in two ways. Like if I am a manager, if I am a department head, what I do is like I either identify there is a skill gap, right? In my team there is certain skills which is missing. So I do a study of my team, I identify what are the skills which is missing, I draft this out. Or what happens is like I had a good employee, a guy with a certain skill set, he's doing this job, he left. Either I fired him or he resigned. So a need can be new or a replacement. Now when you have this, the first thing what a hiring manager or the one who actually has the need do is like they draft the job description. A job description or JD means what this guy will be doing or what this position entitles the person to do. You have to do X, Y, Z activities, what is the expectation out of your job. This is what is explained as job description. On the other hand, there is something called as job specification. Job specification is who will be able to do this activity. If I am expecting someone to lay fiber for a telecom, I need an engineer to do that. I cannot hire some account grad and expect him to do a technical work. So job specification is like who will be able to do these things. Now why I give a job specification? Most often than not, the people who applied know whether I will be able to do it or not. But the recruiter, he may not know. He is not an expert in that particular function, right? So for him to know, there is job specification. What kind of resume or what kind of applicants I need to do this job. So this is defined. Next step is not immediate selection or immediate recruitment. Next step, and one of the crucial steps we often forget as an applicant, is budget. Every position has a certain budget. Now a hiring manager, even if he need a staff, unless he does an approval of budget approval, he cannot go and hire it. Right? Now if he have a budget approval, he have to hire within that budget. So if you are a good employee, okay, you went and asked for, say for example, 12,000 dirhams a month, they offered you 10, right? Now you are insisting that no, I have to get 12 or I'll not come. Maybe that guy have only the budget of 10. So no matter how you insist, he'll not be able to, even if he wants to, he'll not be able to give you an offer because his budget is limited. More often than not, what happens is like he has a budget of 15 and they give an offer of 10, right? They always keep a margin for negotiation. So you negotiated, said no, I need to get 15. They said, okay, I can give you 12. Good and happy, your negotiation is completed and you get an offer, right? So there is this budget element. Now after budget is approved, then comes, it goes to the recruiter and he started sourcing. Sourcing means publicizing this, there is a job opening, you put it in LinkedIn, you put it in other job portal, Wait, Indeed, wherever you want to put it, you start receiving CVs. So once you start receiving these CVs, what they will do is like there is a filtering. Now this filtering happens in two ways. One, if it is a small organization, the recruiter themselves will filter. But most often than not, what happens is like in companies there is application tracking system and that system itself will weed out at least 50 or 60% of the resumes which is coming in. Or in effect what it means that if you apply for a job, 60% of the time your CV is not seen by anyone, only the system sees that. Then comes the screening stage. Screening is what we all know about. You get a telephonic call to validate what is there in your CV, or they call you for an HR interview, not a technical interview, or you go through a group discussion, or you go through a written test. This is all part of screening. The ultimate aim of screening is eliminate. It's not to select. The aim of screening is eliminate as much as you can so that only a selected small bunch goes to the hiring manager. And it is the hiring manager who actually does the selection. There you have the interview and they select. And once it is selected, hiring manager's job is done. As far as hiring manager is concerned, I have a vacancy, I defined what it is, I selected the person. That's all that is important for a hiring manager. Whereas for a recruiter, I got a job JD and job specification. I need to source CVs, I filtered CVs, I screened the CVs, I pass it on the hiring manager. My job is done. Now there is a third person who is called as HR himself. HR is the one who enters and do the negotiation. Okay, they always have KPI. Oh, the budget is for 15,000. I have to somehow make it for 10, so that I can boast in my annual meeting, say that no, I have this much of budget. I manage the budget within this much. I achieved a saving of X, Y, Z. So they will be always pushing you down with negotiation, and they are the one who give you offer because they are entitled to give you the offer. And the fourth, like these are the roles which is involved. Recruiter we explained, hiring manager we explained, HR. Then comes this guy, finance. Whatever, they are not concerned what is the skill gap, they are not concerned what is your problem or what is HR manager's problem, they are not concerned how good you are, how bad you are, they only look at the money, right? So you have budget, good and well. If you don't have budget, you can't hire it. So practically if you want to get a job, all these 4 persons should consider that. It's not just one person. There are 4 roles which is involved in getting you a job, right? Now our second villain. The first villain is the recruitment process and the second villain is ATS. Application tracking system as it is defined. An application tracking system is software application that enables electronic handling of recruitment needs. Basically you take the recruitment online and you do the jobs online. If you apply, they take you to a portal, they ask you to create an account, you start creating a new account, you put in your name, details, everything is digital and organized. So you have specific field to enter so that the system can understand that. Now this is the applicant side of application tracking system. Similarly, if it is an advanced or a pretty good application tracking system, all that 4 plus the candidate is connected in the ATS. That is, even the hiring manager, if he needed staff, what he does is like he log into the ATS, he said okay, I need, this is the title which I need, these are the function he have to do, this is the job specification and this is my budget. He'll put, it will go for the approval for finance. And first it will go for approval for HR. After HR approves it, it go for the approval of finance. After finance approves it, it comes back to the recruiter, and from the ATS itself he can publish the job. So it will go to all the connected sites automatically. With one click it will go to all the sites. Now CVs start coming. Okay. So job publication is there, then you start receiving the CVs. Here you can see it screens out. What happens is like if your CV doesn't match the keywords given there, the system will weed it out. Maybe you are a pretty good employee, maybe you are a very good candidate who fits the requirement. But if your CV is not having those keywords, the system will move it out. Nobody sees that. right? Then comes the selection. So basically, in short, what happens is like no human being see your CV unless it passes through the ATS, right? Now, more often than not, what we say that like HR people is a waste of time. Right? It's a general statement which we all make. HR doesn't know stuffs. HR doesn't have any serious responsibility to do. If you know how to put rangoli, then you are good to do HR, employee encouragement activities, stuff like that. But when you actually step into HR's shoe, there is a lot of troubles which they face. Now, I'm not an HR, so I have no reason to defend them. Just to put things into perspective. When there is job opening, like in 2013, there were 3.6 million job opening, of which 80% doesn't even come to the public, like they don't publish the job. This happens with internal placements. Now, whether it is internal or whether it is external, the pressure always comes to the recruiter. They have targets. Okay, when say job opening is there, I have to get it closed within a month or within 15 days, whatever be the hiring manager's target. I have this, if it is a critical job, I have to close it as soon as possible. So they are also under pressure of closing it. They are also under pressure of finding a candidate. Yes, we are under pressure of finding a job. They are under pressure of finding a candidate. Now, if they put up a job, on an average per job there comes 250 CVs. Now this statistics is from 2013, right? Now it is 2017 and digital has grown way beyond that. So you can expect it to be much more than this estimate. Now it's not one job that a recruiter posts. A recruiter from different department, from different managers, they post a lot of jobs. So you can imagine the amount of CVs which come to them for screening or filtering, right? And the moment you put a job online, within the 200 seconds you get the first CV and the avalanche starts, keep coming in. And their problem is like, okay, you cannot practically screen out all the CVs which is coming in. That is why you have your ATS. Now ATS, if you look at the statistics, 50% or 60% of the resume which comes in, it screens out and only the remaining goes to the recruiter. Now recruiter, even if you screen out that much, it's still quite a big effort. So what they do on an average, only 6 seconds is what they look into a CV. So if you take your CV which took you 2 or 3 hours to compose, they look 6 seconds on that, flip it over, move it aside. Either they put in the OK bucket or not so OK bucket, right? So that 6 seconds is quite crucial for you. And even in that 6 seconds, it is 2 seconds which they spent looking for keywords. So if your keywords in the sense the skill sets or your experience which match the requirement, if it is not that visible, if the keywords didn't catch their eye in that 2 seconds, your CV goes to the other bucket. Now this is one depressing fact for freshers. If you, any freshers here? Oh, good, you have the right to be depressed. 66% of the time the hiring manager think that a fresher is not fit for job, right? So that doesn't mean that you will not get job, okay? There are ways a fresher can get job or even better job than an experienced candidate. We'll see that towards the end of the presentation. But this is a general perspective of hiring manager. Like, see, hiring manager is not there to coach and mentor and train you. They have KPIs, they have targets to achieve. They want someone who can get their job done with minimum supervision. So they expect someone to be experienced. Everyone is under pressure, like we are under pressure. So we have to give them the confidence. There are ways to give them the confidence. Now there are some statistics, like just to get you into the mood. This might actually help you. Like this is a survey done by Forbes. So when they interviewed, they said that 36% of hiring managers or recruiters, they prefer multitaskers. That is, okay, you are going to be a financial analyst, you are good with financial analytics, well and fine. Hell lot of people are good with financial analytics. So what else can you do? Can I hire you and get you do the job of two role? Good for me, cost optimization. I'm happy with that, right? So nowadays everyone is optimizing cost. So the more skills you have, better. Then other research like initiatives, like okay, you did your academics and you are now applying for a job, you are sitting and waiting for a job. Okay, you did your academics, you are applying for a job, but you are not so waiting for a job. You are finding things to do, you are engaging in activities, you are going out and maybe volunteering for a live project, you are doing multiple activities. So you're basically a person who has initiatives, right? So when you're initiative driven, companies like that because he's proactive. So you have to show these things. So this is one thing for you as a fresher. Okay, basically you have to have a good picture. It's like, eyes open, shoulders down, chin up, chin down. These kind of photos, if you put in your CV, people don't get attracted. Now everyone has a DSLR, everyone has a decent camera with them. Have candid picture which is eye-catchy so that they'll feel a positive vibe. Because see, the statistics say that 90% of the time they spend just looking at your photos. So if you have this, that kind of photo, then people don't get impressed. That's one good thing. Now another one of the main factor is like, see, these hiring managers are not HR. So they are not that good at defining a job or defining a job specification. So often what they do is like whatever they drafted is not accurate, or whatever they drafted gets obsolete by the time your CV reaches them. So even if your CV matches exactly to the written requirement, you won't get an interview call because their requirement changed, or they just now realize that no, I need someone else, not this what I defined. So this can't help it. Two statistics: Deloitte, one of the greatest employers across the world, their hiring for application ratio is 3.5%, which I think is far better than Google, because Google's is 4/10 of 1%. You know how small it is. The amount of CVs which they receive and what they hire there's a huge gap in that. So now that we know how the future is headed and what a hiring process is, what are your challenges, let's get used to some basics, then we'll get into the personal branding.